Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the TBG Podcast. This is episode 10, and this week I have my brothers on the show. We get into some interesting talk about the dynamics of a blended family with stepkids and being a step parent and things of that nature, and then we wrap it up with a bunch of ridiculous stories about our childhood as brothers. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Yo, 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 yo. What up?
What's up?
How's it going?
It's good. It's Friday morning.
It is Friday morning.
It is Friday. Oh, man. I know.
It's been a long week. Matt has been here. This is my brother. You guys, well, I said that in the intro, so you guys know. This is Matt and Travis. Travis produces the podcast and works here in the office, so I drug him over from his desk to sit down. We figured we'd do a fun little brother podcast, tell some ridiculous stories. I think Matt has an interesting dynamic for you guys to hear a little bit about. So, yeah, but it's been a long week. Matt's here on vacation.
Yeah, it's been a good week. This is going to be the most, it's either going to be the best podcast ever or the worst podcast ever, because as the older brother, I'm just waiting to see what stories come out.
For you, it's going to be the worst.
Nah. I think
is there a statute of limitations on brother law?
I don't remember signing an NDA on anything.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so Matt and his family have been staying at my house, and you guys have seen some of that on Instagram. We've been out on the boat quite a bit and doing a bunch of other things. We bought a bunch of fireworks yesterday and
didn't shoot any of them.
Any of them.
We were complete failures.
Bummer. Man.
Yeah, you guys went shopping without me. I was here working.
Yeah.
Well, trying to do something.
The people want the content. We needed you to make content.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. We tried to make content and we failed miserably at it.
Yeah. Yes. Where's all my footage and my raw files? I got
nothing for you.
I sent you a picture
Matt just
on my
sent
phone.
me a few pictures. Like all this effort we took and like trying to get stuff, and he's like
a Veer cruiser full of bags, full of cameras.
Yeah.
Patches, accessories.
The
everything.
photo we got is gonna be a snapshot from a phone.
Yeah, like, that means it's gonna crush it.
Yeah.
Every time. That's the best photo ever. Doesn't matter.
Okay, listeners, I need some answers. There's a lot of times that we put a lot of effort into something, and we post it, and we're like, yeah, this is gonna be awesome. Everyone's gonna love this. And it tanks. You guys don't like it. I don't know why. And then we post a snapshot from a phone, some super random, like poorly executed photo, and it kills it.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Every time.
It's really interesting though. You know what I mean? I try to dissect that. Like, is it because of, it looks more organic, or is it just, I have no idea.
Right,
is it the time that I posted it, or is it, who knows?
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Give me some answers, people. You don't care about the pretty polished stuff? Is that what it is?
Apparently not. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
All this effort for nothing. They should have just bought a new iPhone.
They care. They care. Right, guys? You care.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I wanted to have Matt on the show for a few reasons. Matt, why don't you give him a little bit of your kind of background, history of being a dad? You have a not a unique situation, because there's a lot of people in your situation, but it's different from some. You've got
So I am a step parent, I guess, is what all this boils down to. So I have two of my own kids, and then got married, and my wife had two children, and so we have a blended family now of 4 kids, and they run from 10, 11, 12, and 13. So they sort of stair step all together there, and there's 2 boys, 2 girls. The boys are the bookends, so the oldest and the youngest, and the girls are in the middle. And that is a kind of a crazy family dynamic to have, in all honesty. 4 kids, plus they're all so close together, and being step siblings and step parents and stuff. It's definitely an interesting experience. It's one that I don't think you can quite fully grasp unless you either are a step parent or grew up in a family where you were part of a blended family like that, which is not something that we grew up in. We, our parents are still together and all that kind of stuff, and we don't have any step siblings that we're aware of. So
that we know about.
So,
that's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
so you talk about how that you can't prepare yourself for that dynamic without really have been in it or being in it. Try to explain like there's so many questions, I guess, there's the dynamic of having ex-wife and her ex-husband and other parents, and it's like they've got their mom, and then there's Jessica, and then there's all these different things. Yeah. And so what is that dynamic like? Everybody gets along for the most part.
It's hard. I think there's it takes time for everybody to start gelling in that way, because initially when you're dealing with other parents, I think there's going to be some jealousy there, some animosity, some things like that, what is this person, teaching my child, or, or even some jealousy in terms of, is this person giving experiences to my children that, I feel like I should be rightfully giving my child,
Right. They're missing out.
Yeah, either way, and it's
trying to one up me.
Right. And it's not just from that, but it's the other side. It's, there's obviously times when your children are not with you. And so even my two that are, when they're off doing something, I'm like, oh man, I wish I
was able to do that.
I was able to do that with them too. And you just try to balance those experiences and those relationships as best you can, and hope that the other parent, regardless of where they fall in that dynamic, is willing to cooperate as a part of that.
Right.
And that's the challenge, because sometimes they are and sometimes they're not. And sometimes it's just the moods that people are in. And I'm sure I've been accused of one thing or another. And then, I accuse them of, one thing or another. But generally speaking, we all get along. We're all polite and nice and kind and stuff. But it took a little while for everybody to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Is the harder part day to day kind of trying to get along with people, or is it really like around holidays, like splitting Christmas or splitting, stuff like that? Or do they both just suck in different ways?
They do kind of have their own unique suck. But I think the holiday thing is probably a little bit easier in a sense that it's pre-planned out. So like, typically when you go through,
the judge decides that
right
one.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, so like, but it's laid out, like, you have some documentation to fall back on,
right.
In that case,
which is super important. I know a lot of people that kind of split up and separate and do whatever, and there's no court orders, there's no judge, no nothing, and then it's like the wild west, and then it becomes fights and arguments, and I this and you that, and you owe me something, and I paid for
it's
this,
my
so
turn.
you did it in my turn.
I will tell you that as
it sucks.
Crappy as divorce is, going through and, you always say to yourself, like, we'll save ourselves some money and we'll just get through. Get the attorneys, get the paperwork, do that, because then you have something that you're both agreeing to, and it's not the Wild West. Whether or not you love the agreement or not is kind of irrelevant at that point, but at least it's there. And it's typically designed to be fair, or as fair as the situation allows for.
Yeah. As much as you might, like, going through it at the time, you're going to be like, this isn't fair.
Right.
Like, I only get my kids 2 weekends a month.
Right.
Like you spend a lot of time with your kids. And,
you do. You still spend a lot of time, and you still, but it makes that time that you have together more valuable, I guess, in a sense, because you really understand that those times are a little bit more rare, and you don't sort of take the time for granted that you might take if you had kids all the time. I mean, I know parents who are not divorced and stuff, but they don't spend a lot of time with their kids. Their kids are always home with them and stuff, but they don't spend a lot of time with their kids.
Yeah. Right.
Playing with them, interacting with them. They're just sort of there. But where now I feel very obligated to spend quality time with all the kids as much as I can, because they're not always there, and there's going to be things that I know I'm going to miss out on. So what can I make sure that when, they're 25 and look back, they don't feel like they were neglected or ignored or anything like that.
Yeah. Which I don't get the sense that they will, because watching the six of you, right?
Yeah.
Like, you guys are the Brodie bunch. Like, it's the four kids, you and Jessica, and it's like her kids are so polite and so nice and so well behaved. Like, I've never seen them granted, I only see them on like holidays or vacations when
Right.
kind of everybody's around, but they've always been super
Yeah,
awesome.
generally all of our
Your kids,
Your
not
kids
so
in
good.
general.
Just kidding.
No,
There's
even-
one. No, generally all the
They're
kids
all-
are very, very well
Pretty well.
behaved and well
Yeah.
and polite.
and they get along really well.
They
the
do.
4 of them together
as
get
a,
along.
as a group. They gelled very quickly. In fact, before we were officially a family, our 2 daughters started calling each other sisters. So that was kind of a cool thing.
That's good.
But what I'm interested to see is as the dynamic grows, because our
Evolves.
oldest is 13 and he's a boy, and the youngest boy is 10. So there's a 3-year, depending on what part of the year, it's
Right.
3 to
Yeah.
4 year dynamic. So, but as the oldest moves into more of the teens, how is that going to affect things? If he's off
Yeah, when
hanging
he's
out
like
with his
14,
friends,
15, and Will's like 11, 12.
right?
Right.
There's a little bit of a dynamic shift there.
Yeah.
And we went through that as brothers as well.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit different. So the age gap
Yeah.
here, I think, is what's important, because
Yeah.
there's a 5-year age gap between Beav and I. And then there's a 7-year age gap between Travis and I. So you
Right.
two are always
So Matt being
pretty
the oldest,
close.
I'm the middle kid, and Travis is the youngest. He's
I'm the
also
baby.
the largest.
right.
He's like full size man.
Travis you were in middle
I
school.
can never. Everyone's like, "Oh, is that your younger brother?" I'm like, or your little brother? I'm like, no. That's my younger brother.
Right,
It's
well, that's
clearly
the-
not my little brother.
Yeah, it was like middle
Nothing-
school where
nothing little.
Travis himself started referring to himself as the younger brother, not the little brother.
Yeah.
Because we were like,
Giant.
Yeah, I was always bigger. I was
Giant.
like, you and I were the same size for a long time.
Oh yeah,
And then I started
until probably like 12
going
years
past.
old or 10
Yeah.
years old.
Yeah. But there's only not even 2 years between me and you.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're a lot closer in age. And like
Right.
you, it's 7 years.
Right, so-
You were always like way older to me.
Right. Well, and
Yeah.
you were always like little, and then I
Right.
came back from college, and
Matt's
you were
100 years old.
you were an
Yeah.
adult. I was like, where
Yeah.
did this guy come from? He has a beard.
Right.
Yeah. But that's an interesting
And
thing
he's
because
bald.
Yeah.
Beav and I,
yeah.
yeah,
You and I went bald at the same time.
that's right, bros.
I still got a little left.
He's
but
got,
hanging on.
yeah,
it's going. I feel
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
sad about it.
you're hanging
Hold
on like
on.
a ginger.
Just
Hold on
hanging
as long as
for
you
dear
can.
life.
Don't let go.
So what was interesting is you were talking about how the 2 girls, I won't say their names. I'll try not to reference everyone's names here for their sake of privacy, but started calling each other sisters early on. Did all the kids really get along? What was it like to kind of transition from divorce to dating a new girl to getting married again to becoming a family and like having that's got to be awkward, different, strange, exciting, like all the different
Yeah,
things.
it is. And
Yeah.
at this point, it feels like such a blur. I can't even remember half of it. But yeah, it's
And
a
the
little
kids were a bit
interesting.
younger then. I mean, you guys have been together for several years. now.
We're about to do 5 years.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, but when they first got together, obviously when we were dating, we'd get the kids together and just kind of do like what we'd call play dates, like take everybody to the zoo and let
Right.
them kind of interact that way or do something kind of family oriented in that way just to kind of get everybody gelling. But they always got along really well. I think our biggest dynamic is that 3 of the kids, so my 2 and her boy, all are into kind of the same sort of stuff, but the youngest girl is the girly girl. And so she's the one who's into sort of the more girly girl things, is where my daughter is not so much tomboy, but she's more into like, she's the
so
one who
girly
wants
stuff.
to play the Nerf war.
Right.
And
Like your oldest.
Yeah.
Yeah. And which is great, but it does kind of feel like one person gets left out a little bit because they all want to do one thing, and she's like, "Well, I
always like
want
an
to play
oddball.
school."
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, "Okay, we'll try to
it's
figure out
tough.
how to make everybody work together."
3 Nerfs and a Barbie.
Right. You got to try to build out the Barbie Corvette as an tactical assault vehicle.
Oh,
There you go.
yeah.
So-
Nice. Yeah, a pink Humvee.
right.
Go like the old
Barbie
old,
Dream House infill.
Get her a Pink Panthers, like the World War II Jeep Special Forces
Right.
The British guys.
The SOS
They had,
Pink Panther
yeah,
Jeep.
yeah.
Right,
It was
exactly.
a Defender.
Yeah, they
with a
used-
roof cut off. Mm-hmm. You can get her one of those and tell her it's a Barbie.
Barbie Jeep.
Barbie
thing,
Jeep.
but yeah.
She's kind of over Barbie
do
now.
that.
To be fair, because she's kind of over Barbie, but she is into sort of
She's more girly.
she's just more girly. Yeah,
Got it.
the
Right,
games
right.
that she wants to play are games that like
The
I'm like,
activity she wants to do. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
well,
It's probably great when she comes to my house and all the girls do.
yeah,
that.
she loves
Yeah.
hanging out with Kendall and
Cameron.
Yeah, because I feel Kendall's your
Kendall's
youngest
the
is
super
girly.
girly.
Yeah, as girly as it gets. So
Cameron can be girly, but she also is more like on that athletic side. She wants to be doing sports and activities, and she's like the same thing. Not a tomboy, but she's not super girly.
right.
She has her moments though too.
So, but anyway, generally speaking, they all get together and they all play and
So
they
there
all
was
hang
no
out.
friction there of like you need to get along with this new person because they're going to be your brother. Or
Right.
anything.
Well, there's not in that sense, but there is in the sense that once you become a blended family, you've got another person who's sort of moving into your room, right? So when my kids come,
Wait, you don't live in a mansion and everyone gets their own room?
no, not everyone gets their own room.
6 people.
Yeah, it gets kind of tight, and so you all of a sudden it's like there's this other person who's invading your space a little bit, and even now there's still some like one kid's not quite as clean as the other on both sides, and so it's like they show up and it's like you got to clean your room because so and so's coming, and I go, ugh. Or you got to clean your room because it was clean when you got here, and now now
was
it's
a
not.
disaster.
Yeah. So interesting that you say that because I as I said before, like it's like you don't always have all the kids all the time. These kids are at that parent's house. These kids are at
Right.
this parent's house. So sometimes you have 2 kids. Sometimes there's 4 kids. Sometimes the kids are like, I'm super jealous at times. I'm like, you're like, oh, we don't have any of the kids this week.
Right. So
Right.
so
And I'm like,
this is how you do this. If
well,
if you're in this
what?
dynamic,
I want that.
coordinate schedules so that you have all the kids on one weekend and no kids on the next, because then you have like date weekend every other
that's
weekend.
like the side of it that I'm
That's-
super jealous about. You're
Yep.
like, oh, we're gonna go to the Biltmore and do. I'm like, wait, what? What do you do with the kids? Like, oh, they have other parents.
Right.
This is amazing.
But see, this is
Give them away.
but you have the grandparents close by. We don't have any
I
grandparents.
do, but that's
Yeah.
tough. You know what I mean? Mom's
Right.
awesome, and she's like an angel, and she'll do anything. But then, Dad's got his health issues, and it's
Right.
not always convenient for them to have a bunch of kids at the house. And,
Right.
he's got his own set of problems that mom's trying to take care of him, too. So taking care of, like, a 100-year-old man and, like, a 5-year-old. I'm just
Sorry,
kidding
Dad.
with that. No, but, like, he's got his own set of problems. So it's a lot for her to deal with. So I'm very,
Yeah,
very
I
particular
get
about
that.
the ask, on
Right.
that end.
Right.
Yeah, but apparently they're perfect angels when they're there.
Yeah.
They do not do wrong. They just sit
I have a
quiet.
hard time believing that.
I do too.
Travis stays with me from time to time. He knows the dynamic at my house, which is, I think I mentioned this not long ago, but like why I was doing some tactical baby gear vlogs at one point, and like I don't really show a lot on Instagram stories at the house because it's just chaos at this point. It is madness. It's screaming. If it's not them, it's the dogs are barking and daddy, 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 and then dogs barking and somebody's screaming about this, and like it's just absolute chaos. Like I would never hit the record button because no one wants to hear that.
Right.
Yeah, and how much of that is amplified when I show up versus like the days I'm not there.
Earlier on, it was more so like they were a little crazier when Uncle Travis was there.
Yeah.
Now it's become so normal that it's really not much different.
Really, what it is he can't tell the difference now because when I show up with all of mine, it just skews the numbers.
Right. It's like
Right, the average just goes.
the slider just goes maxed
Like you
out.
might have been a 3, we're a 14.
Right. Yeah.
They're all staying at my house. So there's 10 people at my house currently between us and the kids and them and theirs. So they're 6, our 4, 10 of us. The kids are just like absolute chaos. Whose phone is that? Somebody's phone's dinging. Is that you? Hey, while I'm talking to you, Ryan, I left a bottle of water somewhere. I think it's on the corner of my desk. I would appreciate that. So I can keep jabbing along over here.
Yeah, you guys definitely have a full house, and
Yeah, it's chaos. The kids are running around screaming all this stuff. I got a super aggressive dog. We got to keep kind of locked up and out of the way, and it's just madness.
I feel worse for him.
I know. He's
Poor
probably,
Hans.
I have to make trips down there just to be like, hey, buddy.
Yeah, you're not
It's
alone.
okay.
I went and hung out with him last night,
Yeah.
and I just had him out and just let him roam around for a while and just.
Well, speaking
that break.
of that whole dynamic there, because that's how loud it gets. Our house will go from 0 when it's just the two of us to
How nice is
like
that?
a 4. It's great.
Hear the crickets.
Of course, that's when we end up doing like all the chores because like you don't want to take everybody to the grocery store,
Oof.
and you don't want to take everybody. So it's like that's like we got to plan like every chore and errand in the world that we've got to
Well,
do.
not to mention sometimes that's limited time. Like on a weekend with your kids, you don't want to be like,
Right.
Well, sorry, I'm doing yard work this weekend, so figure out your own activities.
Yeah,
and
go,
stuff.
Right,
go
yeah,
inside
we-
and play.
Yeah, exactly. So you kind of learn to deal with that. So, but our house will go from like 0 to like a 4 when it's just the two of them. When it's her two, it's not. It's pretty calm and quiet. But you deal with school and maybe a friend will come over and stuff like that. So it's almost an 11. Like every other weekend when they all get there because it's then it becomes Nerf wars and tag and screaming and stuff, which is a world. This is the other interesting dynamic because it's a world that I think we grew up in.
But we didn't realize how bad it was. Like I feel so bad for like you guys, the three of us. It was.
we were.
But we were
Terror.
outside
Yeah.
more often than not. So
Right.
like most of
Yeah.
the chaos was outside.
Right.
Yeah, we got left alone. We were like,
We got to just go
get
do
on your
things
bikes and go
avoid
ride.
alligators.
Yeah,
But
We were chasing gators, shooting alligators with paintball guns. I
We-
probably
in a
shouldn't say
canoe.
that. We could probably get in trouble or something.
Yeah.
but-
I don't recall shooting them with paintball guns. We hit one with a canoe once.
yeah. Oh yeah, we definitely did a lot
did.
of stuff that we shouldn't.
Yeah.
That
Gangster stuff.
If any parent saw now, it would be bad. If
that
there
parent
were cell
would be
phone
putting-
cameras, it would be bad. Like, we would not get away
It's
with
probably good
any of that now.
That wasn't all documented.
No.
I wish
True.
it was.
Some of
We
that
do have
stuff
some-
was amazing. I mean, the forts that we would build
Dude.
and the
Yeah.
Zip lines.
zip lines that tried to kill me.
Yeah, running around the golf courses and
Yeah.
doing whatever we
Oh, man,
wanted.
we used to
That
take
was our
like-
playground.
Yeah, we used to take our bikes through the sand traps, remote control cars through the sand traps, and like just wreck them. Like they'd be like freshly raked and like
Groomed
looking all
sand.
nice and
Right.
pretty, and then we just go destroy them.
Yeah,
They had to have hated.
But we
that
got
stuff.
all the neighbors together and we go play baseball out there.
Yeah, we had a
Yeah.
lot of good friends that are all like still great friends of all of ours, best friends and stuff, the Hodstons and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But shout out Mark. You're probably not listening, but if you are,
I remember what
But
you
yeah,
did
so
to me.
it's
Travis
going,
will never forgive you.
I got picked on so bad by all of your friends.
I know. Well, it's because you were
everyone
the
was
little
older.
brother.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. How was that?
Jeff and
Oh my gosh. Dang,
Mark
Jeff.
and everybody.
Bernardini's.
Oh, yeah.
Nick.
Nick and Mike.
Oh yeah, I got pine
Johnny.
cones thrown at me.
Oh, man.
I got beat
That
up.
explains so much.
I know.
Yeah.
He's no wonder he hates.
That was when I was
everybody.
still smaller. Yeah, exactly. There's a reason behind this.
That's so funny.
Bullied 24/7 by 6 older brothers. Felt like
But you and I
They were-
hung out a lot. We
Yeah.
rode bikes and did all like some of that stuff. 'Cause
Yeah, I
our
was
age
always
gap
attached
wasn't-
to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Our age gap. You know what's really interesting is like I always think about our 5 years. I never really until like you were like, yeah, he and I are 7 years apart. I never really
Right.
even thought about that.
yeah, there's a huge
So
gap.
so my
7 years is
experience is
huge.
interesting because, well, we'll go back to all that. So, you and I were close enough that we spent a lot of time together, particularly when I was in like late middle school, and even high school, because we would go skating and
And at
we
that
did-
time, he was kind of too young. Mom and Dad weren't like letting him really. Tag
right. He was a
along.
little too young for that, so he was
Right.
kind of out of the picture, and he was still sort of the little tag along brother, or things like that. But then when I guess I turned 18, you would have been 13, 14, and that's when I left for college.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that point, Travis was still like 10, 11, something like that. Like he was little.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Super
college, and he's
Right.
still like a little kid.
I'm Will's age, and you're going off to college.
Right.
Crazy.
And so, like, you guys have a whole lot of bonding time after that because I was gone and you guys got like, 5 more years to like just be two brothers instead of 3.
Yeah.
And then so like, I'd get back
Travis
and you
got
guys
to
would
take
be
over your room.
I know. Yeah.
Well, yeah, finally, because we
shared a room
we shared a
forever.
room the whole time,
Right, yeah.
Too. So it's like we were kind of forced to be together.
So
in that sense.
you guys spent a lot of bonding time together when I was gone, and so like I came back and like all of a sudden like you guys like it used to be kind of like Beav and I would hang and like then it was like you two,
Right.
and I was like I'd get a little jealous sometimes. I'm like, man, you guys are like out doing cool stuff.
yeah. Building cars in the garage and doing an engine.
That's
and,
where Travis and I really got a lot together when we started doing cars. When I was old enough to have a car, and we got really deep into cars, and I ended up, going to automotive school, and he followed in that. Like our passion for cars really aligned. Most of the things we've ever done have always been aligned.
pretty much.
Whether it was firearms or bikes or cars or media stuff, or like we've always had like the same interests.
Yeah.
And we've always like competed
and-
for who was better at it.
Right. Yeah. Or like.
Well, here's where the older brother fails, right? So these two can take apart a car and put it back together. I can't change the oil.
Surprised you can drive one.
Right.
No, I'm
Sometimes you can't.
Hey, I'm not the one that crashed. I'm not the one that crashed the car into the garage.
I was 12. I should not have been allowed to drive. That's Dad.
Dad's
I blame
fault.
Dad.
Dad's fault.
That's the only time I've ever crashed.
Yeah.
So
So here's how that story went.
Here we
Is
go.
that I left for college and I left my brand new Mustang at home my freshman year of college. And the last thing I said as I was leaving to go to school was, "Dad, do not let either of them drive my car."
that didn't work out.
10 minutes later, Travis is back in the car out of the garage and cuts it too soon and smashes the side of it into the garage.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear about it for like a month.
Well, you
It
didn't need
wasn't
to.
that bad.
It was like a small dent in
was
the
a-
front fender,
yeah, it
like
was
right
like a-
behind the headlight.
Right. I was like 6 inches off.
Right.
But, when you're 12.
That's what she said.
with
I got that late. I was like,
Yeah.
I was trying to listen for what he said, and then I realized what you
pretty
said.
far off.
Man.
But no, it's a manual transmission, and it was one of the stupid long hood. I mean, the hood on that, it's like a 96, 98
98.
Mustang
It's a 98.
with a 30-foot long hood, and I'm like 12 years old, can barely see over the dash, trying to use the clutch. It's not really my fault.
Funny.
Yeah.
But
Anyways,
and
You guys had fun with that car while I was gone.
We did. I used to drive it when I would babysit Brodie every now and then,
Really?
and I would drive it
See, these are stories
to
I've never
there.
heard.
No, I don't think anybody knows. I think only Mom and Dad know. But I was like 14, and I would drive it, and I'd drive it in the rain and slide it around. Kind of learned to drift a little bit in that one.
Good. Well,
Yeah.
it was good for something.
Yeah, it was good for something, especially after Beav pulled the exhaust off.
Yeah, it's like I came home from college, I turned it on, I about crapped my pants because he'd taken off the exhaust from the catalytic converter back.
Yeah.
I wanted it to sound like a Mustang,
And it did. I left it off for a long time.
Yeah,
but it sounded
Mustangs-
like a Mustang without mufflers, though. Which I would have.
But it was still loud. I mean, it was surprisingly loud because the game.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what I would do after
But
that,
it wasn't as nice as it should have been. Like,
Right.
right?
it's
It,
like-
it wasn't like it was. But it was so loud that when I took it back to college and I would drive it through the parking garage, it would set off the car alarms in the parking garage.
That's a proper Mustang. That's perfect.
I used to get super. Yeah, we used to do that a lot with other cars. It's like when your system, your 215s in your trunk could set off car alarms, it was right.
Yep.
Right.
That was the standard when you were in high school.
Yeah.
How many alarms could you set off when you came into school every day?
Yeah. How many principals could you piss off? I pissed off all of them. Mm-hmm. All of them.
Yeah, we did.
Yes, we did. So sorry, I want to go back to the kids stuff and the dynamic with the family, because I feel like I had a few more questions. But you go through getting married, the kids are kind of this blended family now. I'm super jealous. You get your weekends with no kids sometimes. What advice would you give to people listening that are kind of going through that situation, or they're going through a divorce and they might be dating somebody with kids? Like, okay, so actually, before you give that advice, what has it been like on your end to be a stepfather, to kind of take on this father figure for two kids that aren't your kids?
Yeah, it's kind of hard because you're still not really their dad, right? And that's like, as a dad, like, you want to be the dad, right? But you have to.
Do you ever feel the sense of like, I don't want to step on his toes and like piss people off and create?
Yeah, there's definitely some things that you do that you kind of walk a fine line on that, like whether you're doing that. But I think a lot of it is, it's less that, it's just there's the kid's emotional side of it, and it's you're not their dad. They know you're not their dad. They still have their dad and they go see their dad. They love you, but I think for them to get comfortable in that scenario takes some time. Like, and it depends, I think every dynamic's a little bit different, but like, originally, we got into some things where it's like, the other step parent did not want them calling me dad. So, or the other parent didn't want them calling me dad.
Sure.
And I can't really begrudge that, like I think about it like on the other turn, like, what I want, someone being called dad, from
Your
my kids.
Yeah.
And so I can't really begrudge that, but I do think that, being directly told that to the kids was probably a situation that made them feel like they took a step back a little bit. And so it's just hard because they love you and you're always around, but there's also this sort of like, separation that's a little bit challenging. Like it's a little bit of a disconnect, especially when, you don't, for 10 years they were raised by somebody else, and, parenting styles are different. Home dynamics are different. Like we talked about, like, that's what I was going to bring up is like, we grew up as three boys who roughhoused and we played loud and we did crazy things and all this kind of stuff.
Cannot believe I'm still alive.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like some of the things we did were like, we should be dead. But, so like, but that stuff's what kind of comes natural to me, like the loud play, the kind of the rough housing a little bit.
Yeah, no one can stir up the kids in my house quite like you.
Right. It's
Jeez.
It's a gift that I was given and trained well at.
You have been an instigator
forever.
I am. It's in my DNA apparently. But, and my kids get it. They expect it. They kind of play with it. They go along with it. They think it's fun.
Yeah, they're used to that.
But that was a complete dynamic shift for my stepkids. It's like, they're like, why is he always torturing us?
What do you mean he's going to throw me against the couch?
Right. Yeah. They learn to like it eventually, but not all the time, but they're a little more, like, my wife is a little bit more quiet and calm, and like, her idea of a great time is sitting down with a good book, right, which would bore me to tears. So like when we do Nerf wars and it gets loud, like she and our youngest daughter are kind of like, this is a little too much, and
I need my safe space.
Right. Yeah. So they go off and do their own thing, and so that is a challenge, and I don't have any good answers for that.
Yeah.
Other than you try to just work in a balance and be fair and say, okay, we've done our crazy wild Nerf war time. Let's do something that involves other people now, and try to make it so that everybody gets to interact with everybody
in different ways. Yeah. So in terms of that, and like you said, different like parenting styles and stuff like that at the different houses, do you guys ever communicate on that in like, hey, this is how we're dealing or reprimanding the kids for this, or we've told them they can't do this here. Can we carry that through over there? Or like whatever the case is, consistency from there. Like, or is there just like, there's just a line that you don't cross because like you just can't.
Yeah. So there's
cross that.
There's,
I don't know.
Right away, Jessica and I had to kind of talk through like, how are we going to handle disciplining kids, and particularly like, what's the way for me to discipline her kids?
Yeah, I would imagine that's That's probably pretty difficult.
That was the hard part, right? Because that's where things get awkward. Because like, you know, I feel comfortable, you know, yelling at my kids that they're being ridiculous, and you know, they're used to me yelling at them to stop and be quiet or whatever.
Right.
But like, as kind of a stranger at the beginning, not really a stranger, but you know, this new person coming in, like, you know, someone does something wrong, and you're like, you know, hey, you need to stop it. That's kind of hard. So
awkward.
Like, but it's also, it's awkward and it's hard, but it's also like, you know, you're trying to balance this. I'm a new person in your life and I don't want you to like hate me. Right. And so then but then you got to balance that with, you can't make, you know, one person the villain every time. So it can't be like, hey, Jessica, so-and-so did this. Can you go deal with it? You know? And like, then I'm not even authoritarian at all.
Yeah.
And then,
no
you know,
respect.
then when I need to step in because maybe she's gone for something and I've got, you know, then they don't have a respect, or they don't know how to deal with me actually stepping up and saying, you know, this is, you know, being a parent.
Right.
And so that took a little bit of a challenge, and it was hard at first, particularly for me to be like, you know, and it was hard for her too. I mean, there was plenty of times where she was like, I just don't want to be, because there's that stereotype of like the evil stepmom, you know, and she was like terrified of that. Yeah. And I get it. Cause I was honestly terrified of being like, you know, the evil stepdad.
Yeah.
Right.
So you really try to like, you know, walk on a fine line there, and it was hard. And eventually we got it balanced out, and we got it, and we got to the point where we're pretty good. I think where the biggest inconsistencies lie is from house to house. So like when my kids are with their mom, you know, there's some rules there, and some might be more strict and some might be less strict. They're just different. And then when her kids are at their dad, there's a completely different set of rules and expectations. And trying to balance all that together when they're all here with us is hard, because then they're like, well, they're both, you know, you're getting it from all sides. Like, well, someone else lets us do that. I'm like, yeah, that's not what we're doing here.
Right.
Right. Yes, someone else might let you stay up until midnight playing on your iPad, but we're not going to let you. Or someone else may not let you have your iPad at all on a certain day, but we will, you know? And so it's like, you kind of have to balance all that together. And
they're old enough to start to understand at this point, like, these are the rules at this house. These are rules at this house.
Right. And that has, it takes a while, you know, it's none of this stuff is anything that you can figure out in a day or a week. Right. I'd say even a year. I mean, it really just takes time and as much consistency as you possibly can give it. Yeah. And sitting down and trying to, you know, reassure, you know, whichever sibling or parent, you know, needs reassuring at that moment that, you know, the relationship is still intact.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, you guys have been together for years now.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that just, you know, I think the more time goes into it, the better it gets. And, but what's going to be, you know, interesting, our next big family shift is we have always been a kind of a confined unit in where we live. So we live in Columbia, and so we don't have any grandparents.
South Carolina.
Yeah, Columbia, South Carolina. But we don't have any grandparents near us on either side. We don't have any relatives around us on either side. The closest relatives we have is actually you guys when we come here to Bluffton, and we have to typically travel because we just do.
Which isn't that far.
It's not that far, but we don't have like, you know,
hey, but you don't have like the immediate 15 minutes away.
Getting 6 people into one car with all the luggage,
right,
and all this stuff.
We can talk about transportation issues.
yeah, that's the next subject, because I think you have.
I have some opinions on that.
The school bus,
but my mother-in-law is moving to town this week.
I heard,
and which is wonderful. It's a great thing.
But it's going to change the dynamic.
It's going to change the dynamic because she's going to want to see them and come visit and hang out. She's totally allowed to. That's not a problem. But what has traditionally happened is if, you know, we have to go out of town for some reason, you know, work related, you know, then the stepdad, or, you know, they're my stepchildren's dad, you know, they typically go to his house. but I can see like, if it's like an after school for 4 hours and they want to go there, and then, I don't know if the people are going to start getting jealous and say, no, they need to come to me like they always have, or, that kind of thing. That's what I'm kind of like, oh man, are we going to be into this sort of battle?
Ball of wax.
Yeah, taking time away from somebody else now.
Right. Yeah. Because there's another person who wants to share that time.
Right.
And again, none of it is wrong because they're kids, right? It's not their issue. Like,
that's can't keep them away from the grandparents either.
Right.
Like, I think
that's the thing. It's
important.
and that's you gotta give them the time to spend with all of their family, regardless of who it is. So, you got to be mindful of that and work it out. And again, I think it's going to be a learning curve again, but we'll get through it just with time, like we always do. But yeah, there's just so many challenges, and I'm just hitting myself in the microphone I'm hitting myself in the face with the microphone. I can't talk. I don't know what words are. Durka.
He can't drive or talk.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I can drive, just not like you guys. Or I, prefer not to because I like my license.
Those are overrated.
You don't always need that.
It's not illegal until you get caught. Let's just clear that up right now.
Right. Yeah, well, how many times did you get caught?
A few.
Definitely could have been caught a lot more.
But I got away with a lot more.
I got away with a lot. Even when I got caught, I got away with a lot.
Yeah. Same here. I lost. Okay, so the story. I'll give a brief story on this particular situation. This was the time. I think this is the time that Matt, not my brother Matt, but Matt downstairs, customer service Matt, Kenya, when he and I got pulled over racing this Mustang, and our father worked for the sheriff's office at the time, so I got in some trouble. I was racing this guy. I get a ticket for all this stuff, and he gives me like a reckless driving ticket, and he's like, he's like, I could get you for this, this, and this, but I'm gonna give you a ticket for this, and I bet I can get in touch with your father faster than you can. What do you think? And I was like, oh no. And I couldn't even start my car before the phone's ringing. They're like radioed him. Like, you can't, you're not faster than the Motorola. You know what I'm saying?
Never.
My phone's ringing. Get your ass home now. I'm like, Matt, I got to take you home. So anyways, I get that all dealt with. But instead of them just I'm like 16. They're like, I'm going to teach this kid a lesson. They dropped the ticket because it was like dad's buddy. He's like, listen, I'm not going to give your kid a 6-point ticket and this huge fine. Like, I'll drop the ticket, but he's got to do some community service. And I'm like, oh, crap. Community service? So I had to wash all the Hargrave vans. So Hargrave's our local like cable internet provider.
Yeah.
Back in the day, and they're like a monopoly, and they're like the only ones here for years and years. But they're this huge company, and they have all their service vans. So like every Saturday for like 6 weekends, I had to go wash all these vans. Yeah. I washed them in the rain on some weekends. There was like 30, 35 of these things I had to wash every Saturday for 6 weeks. Sucked.
I did a lot of those vans too.
Did you?
Yeah. But I almost kind of volunteered to wash them, but when I
never had to do any of that stuff.
But you were having fun.
Yeah. I was not having. No, I was having fun. I was way better at not getting caught.
Fun.
No, no.
What are some of the other crazy stories while we're on the topic of crazy stories? So before we wrap up with your dynamic as a step parent with step kids and all that stuff, what advice do you have for them? And then we'll get into some crazy stories.
Right.
What advice do you have?
So
best advice for a step
The first thing I can say is that I feel incredibly blessed to have the family dynamic that I have now, because I know some other people who have horrible divorce stories and horrible family dynamics dealing with that, and like, every other weekend they're calling the cops on somebody because they're whatever, and it's just so they're in terms of like the spectrum of like good divorce versus bad divorce, like I'm way over on, so I feel really blessed to be on that good side.
Yeah, you guys have a good dynamic. Yeah. Even your ex-wife, like, I'm sure I know her. I mean, like, she's been in my life forever. Like, I was still in like middle school when I met her, you know what I mean? So like, I know her well. You know what I mean?
And we, we see each other at kids'
Events.
baseball games and things like that, and it's fine. You know, we get along. So we are on the really good curve of that. So I don't have a lot of experience with the bad side of that, but I know people that do. And the best advice I can give is just one is patience with everybody, because everything is new and different. And even 5 years later, there's still things that are different from how you would do things or how you grew up or whatever that, you know, you may or may not really agree with, but you got to compromise on a lot of that stuff. And so it's all about patience and compromise and being empathetic to how someone else is going to feel. Whether that's how the kids are going to feel, how another parent is going to feel, how a grandparent is going to feel. Because like now the kid's got, 4 sets of grandparents and
6, well, not, I guess they don't have 6 parents, but.
Right. And so it's like, you got to be empathetic to how all of that time relates, because quite frankly, it's still about them in a lot of ways. I mean, like you've got to focus more on making sure that they're going to grow up to be healthy and happy. Because a lot of kids that grow up, in bad situations end up rebelling in some way or taking it out in some way or doing things that they shouldn't do. And so, but kind of nurturing that loving environment, letting them know that, regardless of the home they're in, they're safe and they're loved, that kind of a thing. And it's patience and empathy and the ability to listen. I don't do that very well.
Shut up.
It's like, I'm because of how we grew up, it's more like, I'm more of a, pull your big girl pants up and deal with it kind of a thing, rather than, let me coddle you into feeling better.
Right.
I think that's the difference between boys and girls, though. To be honest, like a lot of like you said, it was just like, walk it off, deal with it.
Right.
When you got a little 4-year-old girl that's screaming and crying about they scraped their toe on some leaf in the driveway and it's the end of the world. And there's plenty of times where I'm like, deal with it, stop crying. But then there's other times where you're like, all right, that's just making it worse to tell them that. Like they need that like attention and that cuddling and that.
So it gets that scenario though becomes like, it's one of the, it doesn't sound like a big scenario, but in a blended family scenario, that can be an exponentially harder thing. Because if for 10 years they were soothed, let's say by, like they got a skin knee or they felt bad or something, they were soothed by, big hugs and back pats and 10 minutes of, it's okay, baby, you're going to be fine.
Right.
Not that that's wrong. It's just not my
different
style. And I come in and I'm like, like they get a skin knee, like, my first instinct is not, my first instinct is not to pick them up and swaddle them. It's to be like, cool, battle scar, let's go. And so like, they look at me and they're like shocked and like, why doesn't he like us? I'm like, so, just learning that kind of stuff. I'm still learning. I think it's going to be a lifetime learning experience.
It is, and it changes. So, and I tell these guys all the time, like, it's like as soon as you get adjusted to something, it's changing. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it never gets really easier. Would you agree? So your kids, you're dealing with 10 to 14 now.
Right.
And I'm at 5 and 8. Alex has got 1 and 2 3-year-olds. So we got the whole spectrum here. Would you agree, and you've seen it all up to 14 now, would you agree that it never gets easier, that it always it's just changing?
I think, I don't know. I think at some point, what does make it easier is when they get kind of to be old enough that they can be left alone.
A little more independence.
A little more independence. And we're big on, you have our trust until you lose it.
Mm-hmm. We say that a lot too.
Yeah, so, like right now, they're all, for the most part, very trustworthy on everything.
And you're the oldest, the 13-year-old.
Yeah, he's 13.
13 is super good.
I mean, like he's awesome. The one that
he's like 13 going on 40.
Right. Like, I mean, he's already got like $1,000 in his savings account, and Like, I mean, like he's that kid, like that is going to be like, you just don't have to worry about him.
He's not the normal.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's not the one that's going to be
super nerd.
Yeah. He's going to be like, I keep saying like, I was like, man, he's going to grow up to be like Alex, right? Like he's just going to be like, you know, a really solid guy who's going to
super rule follower,
right?
Super boring,
organized. But he's going to be, you know, he's just like, he's not into doing the things that are going to get him in trouble.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it sounds so boring.
Right.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
It's more. I mean, I can relate to that. I mean, I think that was probably to some extent how I was. I wasn't as in a different way. Like the things that I did, you know, were.
You like to have fun.
I like to have fun.
You still went to rock concerts.
Yeah, I still did all that stuff. But like, yeah, the idea of I was never the kid that thought like the idea of going out, like sneaking out of the house, you know, in high school to go to a party and drink was fun. Like that just wasn't me.
Right.
I don't think any of us really.
No,
none of us got into that.
Yeah, that was never like an us thing.
No, we weren't like the party type. We were just like, especially in myself, I can't speak for either one of you particularly, but like I just needed the adrenaline rush, the action. So I was always in action sports, whether it was rollerblades, skating, biking, like doing wakeboarding, all these things.
Yeah,
that like I was just like super action sports, athletic, adrenaline junkie.
Right.
Like
we were all sort
running
of that
from
way.
the cops,
right?
Skating,
that
on a bicycle.
You know what's funny is we were telling some of these stories at dinner the other night with mom and dad, and you know everyone was picking on me because I was like I got in trouble a couple times with like the cops for like racing my car or doing a burnout or like some stupid thing at school that I got in trouble for, but like. It was never ever like real serious trouble. I wasn't selling drugs. I wasn't doing this.
Breaking into cars.
Breaking into cars.
It wasn't malicious.
It was like
it was just
a teenager having fun.
Like oh, you were doing a burnout in your car. Oh, you were playing your music too loud. Oh, you had.
It's the things that almost everybody does. You just had a reputation for getting caught for it.
Yeah. Well, I just don't care about authority. I just don't like. Though I think that's what makes me an entrepreneur is that like I don't want to live in the normal box of what everyone else is doing. I want to do things the way I want to do them, my way. For me, I don't care what the consequence. Like I'm gonna do it. Right. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, and I totally understand that. And so when you have kids that you know their idea of like a super exciting time is to curl up with a book, you're like, we got to go do something, and they're like, good.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that.
I've never read a full book in my entire life from front to back.
Yeah.
Even like school projects where you had to do like book reports. Oh my God.
Never voluntarily.
That's the thing that like,
I would skip through stuff. I'd like read a chapter, read a couple pages through here, and like put it together. And like, I sucked in school. Like academically, I like failed my way and then like graduated early from high school. They were like, this kid's got just enough credit. Just get him out of here. Like he doesn't need to be here anymore.
Yeah. The biggest shock that I had, I think, after you know we blended as a family, was realizing that Jessica would take the kids, particularly her kids, to the library, and they would come back with at least 30 books from the library, like these huge stacks, and I'm like, why would you like that's so overkill? Like, did you just say like, you know, pick out everything, right? And then I get back and it took me a while to realize that like they actually read every single one of them before returning them to the library when they were due.
That's impressive.
And I'm like, whoa, like
Speaking of like that kind of stuff, remember the book fairs? We used to have the book fairs at school, and like they send the thing home, and you like check off what you want. Your parents would send in the money and all that stuff. Like my kids, like they just want all the books. And Cameron will get like a pencil or a bookmark or something, but I don't know about you guys, but I just wanted like the cool car posters and
That's
stuff.
what I got.
Right.
I got a Shelby Cobra poster on one that was like that was it for me.
It was like the Cobras, the Lamborghini,
the Porsche,
the Viper.
Yeah,
like those are like those
Viper.
like iconic cars. That, like, now I've worked on all of them, and I would never own any of them.
Right,
but now I'm kind of at the point where like some of them are affordable for me, and I'm like, man, it'd be really cool to have that one poster car.
Yeah,
just
cool.
just to have it, you know.
It is fun,
and like they're coming back. And, there's a few of them next door that are like those iconic poster cars. They're like, man, it'd be pretty cool to have.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of a piece of, like, I wouldn't.
Do they make a poster with a minivan?
No.
Those have never
Oh,
been
you wanted to
cool.
talk about transportation with the kids.
Yeah, so let's get into that.
So
is there anything like just a quick nugget?
It's so hard. So there's the vehicle options for a family of 6 are just way limited, right? You're kind of
Ford Ecoline, 15 passenger van.
right. I mean, so the struggle is not like there's a decent amount of vehicles now that seat 7. The struggle for me is that when we want to travel, like getting luggage for 6 people plus those 6 kids or plus the 6 people, there's not a lot of vehicles out there. So we had a Suburban for a while that just broke down. It's killing me. That fit everybody, but you're really kind of limited into like the minivan or the Suburban or the Expedition or something like that.
Oh, like a Sprinter van or something.
Yeah, which
is just
even then is like not really
practical.
They're huge. Trying to park that thing,
Some
it's
of them are
like
so tall,
impossible.
too.
Yeah. But the thing that like when you have that many kids, particularly in the age range that we have them, like the thing that drove me the most crazy was a bench seat in the middle row. Like it just seems like a small thing, like you don't think about. But in order for the kids to get to the back seat,
climbing over
they're climbing over the seats, and they're climbing over with their muddy, nasty, dirty shoes and then
off the baseball field.
Yeah, and like you don't think about that stuff when you're shopping because like they tell you, oh yeah, it slides forward. It doesn't slide forward when there's 10,000 pounds of kid crap sitting in that front seat. And so they're constantly climbing over seats or climbing over the back. And
you know what's funny?
Whatever you do, just don't get a nice car. Like I had leather seats, and like my youngest, who at the time was well old enough to know better, decided he was bored and took out a pen and started drawing on the seats. And he was like 8. Right? I mean, like you're not drawing on seats when you're 8. And he's swirly marks and drawing stuff. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's how hands get chopped off.
Transportation. That triggered a thought. So we'll go back into story time. When we were,
I can only imagine where this is going.
But like when we were kids, it was so different. Like when mom and dad used to drive us down the road and we'd have like a station wagon or a minivan, like we'd be bouncing around back from
we were
to
jumping
this
off.
to that.
Our favorite thing, do you remember this? When we had the station wagon, the middle seat would fall flat, right? Do you remember that? And
Vaguely.
you and I would get underneath where it, like in the
where it drops down.
The drop down like where your feet go.
Yeah.
Because it was like a little fort under there. And so we would go for like, hour-long drives, like tucked under the bench there, kind of locked in. And if something had ever happened,
That's what I'm saying. But like, so, and that's probably not just us. Like most of the people listening probably did the same stuff. Like vehicle safety was very different 25, 30 years ago, when we were old enough to like, we weren't in a baby seat. And then it wasn't like your kids were in a car seat, until this age. And then they were this, and they were like, okay, you're not
seat.
Yeah. You're like, okay, you're not in a baby seat anymore. Now you just sit in a regular seat, and seatbelt laws weren't enforced, and it wasn't like this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Like you just jumped around the car the whole time.
I had a friend, and one of the best things that like when all of our friends would get together and we'd be at this house, he would get us in. They had a big minivan of some kind, I guess. But we would get in there. He would drive us around the neighborhood, and he would like floor it, and then he would slam on the brakes and swerve, and just like the whole point was like to throw us around the car.
Right.
And like we thought it was the greatest thing ever.
Yes. 100%.
I have a story where I think probably in the back of that same minivan where I did not want to put my seatbelt on, and mom was not having it that day, and she pulled over at the guard gate in PD, and
I remember
the guard
this.
gate. Really, the guard gate came into the back of the van to force me to put my seatbelt on, and I was just losing it. I would listen.
So funny.
I was like,
you guys,
not.
This is where you kicked him, right?
Probably.
Yeah,
and I kick you.
No, he did. He got mad. He kicked the cop in the shin.
Listen,
I wouldn't be surprised.
our mom is gangster when she needs to be. What's really funny is like we talk about all these things we did, and it sounds like we had just like parents that just let us get away with anything, but we didn't. Like they were super strict. My dad like put the fear of God into all of us. Like when that voice came out that was like Beav, you're like, oh crap, I'm screwed. Yeah. You know?
Well, that's all
Travis,
it took.
It was just
that's
like
all it took.
All it took was like by the time he was screaming your name, you're screwed.
You're screwed.
You know? But like mom, like and like she grew like she ran a church. Like we came from like this Christian family, like church every Sunday, and like you know everything. There was rules for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we make it sound like there was no rules. We just did what we want, but like that wasn't really the case. And there was times where like they let us get away with a lot, but knowing that we were still within like a lot of the rules, or like, hey, don't do that. Like you
we
don't
had
do
a lot
this,
of
and
freedom, but we knew what
there were
rules
some
we couldn't
hard
break.
boundaries for sure.
Yeah.
And a lot of times maybe they just didn't know that we were doing some of the things we were doing. You know.
Yeah,
so.
I think. Well, yeah, because we were just kind of on our own. It's like, well, you know, be back before dark.
Yeah.
And here's dinner.
Right. We lived in a safe
we were just
community,
kinda
and we had there's lots of kids, and we were just out riding bikes and playing in lagoons and chasing alligators, and they were probably none the wiser, I'm sure. But there was definitely a lot of hard boundaries. But like we got our butts spanked. I've told this story before with like Travis getting wooden spoons broken over his butt.
Oh, that was like, that story. Okay, so.
Oh, do you have the rest of the details?
So
on
you're the
that?
oldest, because if you know.
I don't know the details.
I can't remember.
Well, I don't know about yours.
Her being so pissed that one broke that she like grabbed another one.
No. So I made that mistake. I think she learned from me. So what happened? See, what happened was I got in trouble for something, and you know she took me over her knee and she had the wooden spoon and she went to town, and on the first smack, the spoon broke. And I laughed because I thought that meant she couldn't do it. I was like, oh, what you going to do now?
Right. I remember that. She lost it.
She did it. She had her hand. She's like, I
so
still
mad.
have my hand. She just went to town. That's probably why I didn't break any more rules after that.
Mom's going to watch this and be like, they are throwing me under the bus right now.
Yeah.
It's all good, Mom.
No, she was good. That was my favorite. Like, that story was just like, oh man, I learned real quick that was a mistake.
Yeah. Don't laugh when it breaks.
Oh
You'll never see a mom more pissed off trying to discipline a kid.
So I don't know the details on why you were getting spanked with a wooden spoon.
I mean,
you're just stubborn,
dumb stuff. Yeah, probably because I was hitting you with cans.
Yo, this cat right here. Travis used to like. We had this big pantry, double door pantry, and there was like shelves in it. You know, it's a pantry, and there's like food, and then like the second or third shelf up were all the soup cans, and we were young.
Little.
We were like,
I don't know,
probably 4 and 6 years old or something. Like we were maybe younger than that.
Younger, yeah, little.
Travis climbs the shelves in the pantry. He gets up. You probably had to go up 1 or 2.
At least
one
I would
or 2
imagine.
to get to the soup cans.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And he grabs one and he brings it down and starts hitting me in the head with a soup can. You got a lot of trouble for that.
Yeah, probably.
And I was probably hurt. I remember
I just remember being told this story because I was so young that I don't remember it personally.
Yeah. I don't remember
I know
physically getting hit, but I can see it in my head. Like I can just all picture it. Like I don't remember if it hurt or not. I'm sure it did.
I would imagine
like 5 and
I mean, I don't think I hit you that hard. I would have.
No, but a thud from like a Campbell soup can.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, some tic-tac-toes or something.
Oh yeah,
man. Brutal. What were some of the other ridiculous things?
So Matt, all right. So remember,
this is the part I was afraid of.
Well, this because I think
you don't know which
one.
story he's telling.
There's several. All bad. Yeah. Remember, there's a 7-year difference between Matt and I. So we would have sword fights.
Yes, we would
with real swords.
A couple of samurai ninjas over here.
Samurai swords, sharp, like legit swords, and he would just start wailing. Because I mean. I'm like 10, he's 17, and he would start wailing as hard as he could into my sword, and it would like try to fly out of my hand, and I thought I was getting my head cut off because we would watch. Because we would watch The Highlander all the time. That was like our show, our movies. Like we were into it. And he just started wailing on me. That was the scariest. I've never been more scared in my life to this day than when we would start having sword fights and you'd get serious. And I was like,
Is this when we transitioned over to the wood swords after that, or what?
yeah, I think we had to.
I still have that one. It's got all the chips in it.
Oh, mine too. I do too.
It's all chunked out.
Oh my gosh, it's bad. There's some big nicks out of those blades. Like we hit them hard.
Funny.
And then, oh man, Matt would just.
I was a horrible brother. I really
you
was.
were just an older brother.
Well, you were an instigator.
I was an instigator, and
you would like really just come in and stir the pot, and just like watch what happened, and you'd be like, "I didn't do it; it was them." And then like we'd start getting yelled, like, "He started it!" You know, it always just.
And that was worse. And Dad hated that. They were,
yeah. I remember I got in. I don't remember what I did.
In trouble.
I got in trouble. I don't remember what I did, but I did something.
My things.
Well, yes, I did that. No, but I did something, and I don't remember what it was. But I ran away from Dad, and I locked myself in the bathroom, and he broke down the bathroom door to get to me.
Well, that's like when Moose, so Grandpa Moose, chased you down one time.
Oh yeah,
really?
Yeah,
I wish he was
so here's
still
what
alive,
happened. Yeah, what we used to do was when we go to our grandparents' house, we would hit the garage door to make it go up. And we would grab the lip and we'd hang on, and it would pull us up.
Ride the garage door.
And they'd get mad at us every time we did it. And then one time we did it, and the garage door stopped working.
Oops.
And that
probably didn't go over well.
Yeah, and Moose had his cane, and he would whap us with the cane.
Listen, this is the same guy that would like throw our dad out the side of the Jeep while they were driving. Like this dude was gangster, like 10th Mountain Division Army guy, like hardcore.
Couple Purple Hearts.
Purple Hearts. Like he was gangster badass, and like he didn't mess around.
No. So like I think I locked myself in a bathroom at his house for like 4 hours because I was terrified to come out.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Do you remember the time? So
that was before my time.
When we were kids, our parents did an addition to the house, and they added a garage and all this stuff. And we had these like Power Wheel 4-wheelers. Remember when we taped the pedal down? Well, so there's they brought in like trucks of dirt, and there was these big mounds of dirt before they spread it all out. So, and again, we're super young. We're on these like Power Wheels 4-wheeler things, and we'd ride them up these big mounds of dirt. And then eventually they saw us out the window doing this. So like, all right, stop riding up the dirt. Somebody's going to get hurt. We're not doing this anymore, blah, blah, blah. So we decided it'd be a good idea to like tape the pedal down. So we like held the back of it up. We duct taped around the pedal, and then we let it go, and it like goes across a driveway. It's going up the big dirt mound. Mom or Dad or somebody, I told you not. And then there's no one on it. And we're just like pointing and laughing like, we got you. They were pissed.
Oh my God.
Who did I do that with? Was that you?
No, it wasn't me.
Was that not you?
I don't
You're probably
remember.
with Mark or something.
Oh, it was probably Mark.
Yeah.
Because
I would imagine.
See, so that's
you guys.
That was the thing that was like the worst about being so much older. Is that like all the stuff that you guys got was so cool because like they came out with like the Power Wheels and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
is like I missed that, so like I didn't get that. So when you got your Power Wheel four-wheeler for Christmas, and I was so jealous, and I got on it and I rode it down a ditch and snapped it in half.
Instantly exceeded the weight limit.
Yeah. I was way too big, and I knew that was wrong.
And what was your punishment for that?
Oh God, because that was Christmas Day.
Yep.
Like that was like he opened it and like we took it outside, and then like I broke it like 10 minutes after he got it, and he was crying, and my parents were pissed, and I
those
think
things were expensive.
They were expensive, and I had to buy it. I had to pay for a new one. Like they went ahead and got you a new one, but I had to pay them back for it at kid rate chore salary. So like I was like an indentured servant for like a year and a half. And they kept a chart on the refrigerator. They did. They had a little chart on the refrigerator. Yeah, I was like, dude, I had to, like, just to add it up. Yep.
I bet that thing was probably like $300 back then.
Yeah. It was a miserable like year of paying that back at, like, you know, take out the trash for 50 cents.
Grass and blowing the driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you learn?
Oh man! You got any other
to
crazy
break
ones?
cheaper things.
We gotta wrap this up. We got a meeting.
I'm sure we'll have to do a part 2 of this at some point.
100%. Matt, let everyone know where they can find you if you want them to find you on social media somewhere.
Sure. On most social media, it's the Matt Brodie. So Instagram, Facebook, also on YouTube, it's just Matt Brodie, and you can find me there.
Cool. Travis, you want anybody to follow you? You're not much of a people person.
No.
He's got some sweet photos. He does a lot of race car photography as well on some weekends. So where can they find your cool race car stuff?
At Travis Brodie _photo.
Cool.
On Instagram.
Awesome.
Hey, when you do the description for the thing, make sure you put your own link there.
Yeah,
okay?
I'll put it on top.
Okay. You can check it out at the first link in the description below.
Yeah, I'll make sure to misspell Matt so it doesn't link. I'll link
One
his
T.
to mine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's typical brotherly love.
That's perfect.
Right.
Payback for that 4-wheeler.
Yeah. I'm still paying that off.
Yeah. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure you like and subscribe. I asked you last week to please leave some reviews on the platforms you're listening. I would really appreciate that. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.